Happening now, the latest on an assault at the Chautauqua County Jail, and the investigation into a possible conflict of interest in how one Jamestown development group allocated funding continues. Plus, preparations are already underway for this year's Memorial Day Parade.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up, but first, a 34-year-old woman incarcerated at the Chautauqua County Jail is accused of assaulting another inmate. Last Friday, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sheriff's office reports that Tatiana Barros Vega got into some sort of altercation with another inmate, causing a physical injury. Now, the assault took place within the facility's recreational yard. Barros Vega, deputies say, was charged with second-degree felony assault in this crime. She was originally arrested and booked on an assault charge last fall, which is why she was incarcerated in the facility. And two Dunkirk residents face several criminal charges after police allegedly recovered a loaded weapon and illegal drugs during a traffic stop on Wednesday. City of Dunkirk police stopped 30-year-old Gabriel Soto and 23-year-old Angel Ramos' car for a traffic violation on Central Avenue at around 6:30 at night. Now, during the course of their investigation, officers recovered a quantity of crack cocaine and fentanyl inside of that vehicle. They also found this loaded .380 pistol. Both Soto and Ramos face a slew of charges, including criminal possession of a controlled substance. And law enforcement across the Empire State, they're cracking down on drug-impaired driving during World Weed Day. Thursday, April 20th is 420, which is set aside to celebrate the benefits of cannabis. However, New York State Police, they're reminding motorists that driving under the influence of the drug and alcohol, including cannabis, is not only dangerous, it's illegal. Marijuana was legalized in 2021, and state police have since increased the number of drug recognition experts across the state. If you're planning to consume cannabis, do not drive. Just like alcohol, you gotta designate a sober driver who is not consuming, or use public transportation and/or ride-share services. Now, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, between 2009 and 2018, of those drivers killed in crashes tested positive for the presence of cannabis, which had nearly doubled. It's been over a month since officials in Jamestown launched an inquiry into a possible conflict of interest surrounding how American Rescue Plan Act funding was distributed to local businesses, and yet it's still unclear if violations were committed. Bronson Rasmussen joins us live from the newsroom with continuing coverage on how the Jamestown Local Development Corporation may have violated their own bylaws here, Bronson.
Justin, the development group may have violated their own bylaws when they approved grants to 3 local businesses with direct connections to sitting board members. While the respective members recused themselves from the vote, questions still remain if a conflict of interest occurred. In mid-February, $64,000 in American Rescue Plan funding was allocated to It's Your Day Wedding Planning, which is owned by the wife of JLDC board member and city councilman Jeffrey Russell. In addition, $15,000 was given to the Jamestown Skate Products, owned by board member Pete Shira. The board also allocated $9,500 to St. Luke's. Luke Forder is a JLDC board member.
We are still waiting. I spoke to the congressional representative today on that issue. Treasury Department has, for lack of a better term, bounced him from person to person to person. So we are still waiting what is, the status of the state and local fiscal recovery fund guidance. Specifically what they mean by violations of ethical rules.
Part of the problem is the sub-department of the U.S. Treasury tasked with issuing ARPA guidance, which is no longer in operation. Nevertheless, the development group is continuing to accept new applicants seeking funding. The latest round approved $50,000 to Ballgame Heroes and Pearl City Cycle.
It feels good to see some new business come forward. I would still love to see some existing businesses apply for some of those funding through ARPA that that did not and have not, and like I mentioned in there, sometimes businesses are putting out their AOP plans and so far in advance they may not have the match, whatever the reasons may be, but I'm still reaching to see if we can help some of the local businesses.
Both of these businesses started up during the COVID-19 pandemic, which is why board members felt issuing grant awards is important.
A lot of people can be self-employed and they can make a great effort at it. And so we're just excited to see them apply for grant funding, and we're excited to just connect with all the new businesses that we have seen since the pandemic. Jamestown has been a city of entrepreneurship, and we have watched our small businesses just flourish during the pandemic and after, and we can't wait to continue supporting them.
Now the investigation into the JLDC's potential violation of their bylaws is still ongoing. At this point, it is unclear what must be done, if anything, to correct the conflict of interest. Reporting live in the newsroom, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
All right, Bronson, thank you for that update. Preparations are underway for the Memorial Day Parade here in Jamestown. Last year, Collaborative Children's Solutions took over organization of this annual event, which honors U.S. servicemen and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice to our nation. Now, registration is open for groups, bands, or businesses to take part. Those interested in joining are asked to register online. The parade will take place Monday, May 29th, when entries gathering at Baker Park between 4th and 5th Street at 9 a.m. The parade will kick off at 10 a.m. down Prendergast Avenue. Now, a slight change from last year. The parade is different in that it will focus mostly on paying respects to the fallen. There will be no candy throwing or loud music, other than those patriotic bands, which are permitted.
This is a serious parade. You're not just decorating your car and throwing candy out the window. If you want to make that transition into being patriotic about it, I'm all ears. Run your idea past me in the city.
The local Blue Star Mothers chapter is also hosting a special ceremony at Lakeview Cemetery's Soldier Circle following the parade. It's such a rewarding thing to be a part of, and a really great show of support from our community for sure. Well, now let's switch gears and get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Weather Forecaster Andrew Stevenson joining us live today. And Andrew, today a beautiful, beautiful day across our region. And you think about it, Mother Nature really has been up and down this past week weather-wise out there.
Go from feeling like summer today and tomorrow back to feeling like spring on Saturday and back to feeling like almost like winter by Sunday. You just gotta love Mother Nature. We start off with a live look from the Warren sky cam. We got partly cloudy skies down there as the trees are starting to bud out with leaves. Speaking of Warren County, the National Weather Service in-state college has issued an elevated fire risk and a special weather statement. A combination of low dew points, low humidity, and wind gusts around 15 miles per hour increase the fire risk, so use caution across northwestern Pennsylvania if you plan on burning anything, as wildfire with these conditions can spread rather quickly. First Defense Doppler radar shows a couple rain showers that moved through the region overnight last night. Otherwise, drier weather is working in with partly to mostly sunny skies for the rest of the afternoon out there. The high yesterday, we made it to a high of 51 degrees. The low was 32. The records for today, 83 set back in 2008 and a record low of 19 set back in 1926. So here's the forecast for the rest of the afternoon out there. A warm front is pushing through the region. That's going to have a contrast in temperatures ranging from the upper 70s close to 80 down here across the southern tier to the 50s and 60s near the lake shore and 50s north of that front. Otherwise, it will be partly to mostly sunny today. I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, we'll see you back in a bit. Thank you very much. As we continue, our state Capitol correspondent is breaking down new legislation here in New York that would expand access to abortion medication. And later, we're hearing farmers across the region who are concerned with those, as mentioned, up and down weather this spring, how this might impact their crops. Next.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
3 3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Land has been quite the experience.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Some New York lawmakers are pushing to expand legal protections and access to abortion medication with telehealth. Our New York Capitol correspondent Elise Klein is breaking down the recent legislation and talking to lawmakers about the impacts.
While the Supreme Court continues to consider the Texas ruling on the abortion medication mifepristone, some New York lawmakers take steps to protect access to abortion medication. A bill recently passed in the Senate provides certain legal protections for physicians, midwives, and other advanced practitioners who facilitate access to abortion care via telehealth for out-of-state residents, including prescribing abortion medication.
We owe it to our sisters throughout this country to do what New York does best, which is ensure that we provide a legal means for these practitioners who are willing to assume this risk to provide the services so that women can terminate pregnancies, or can deal with miscarriage, or can deal with all of the other medical needs they have. This is about health care.
Some lawmakers who voted against this bill in the Senate expressed concerns.
And this is highly political. And the fact that we are saying that not only are we going to protect the so-called rights from other states, that's not really our job. The United States is a union of states that each has their own sovereignty.
Some physicians say this bill would help residents who may not be able to travel to New York for sanctioned care.
We can't expect everyone to travel to New York or to the northern states. Most people who are facing an unwanted pregnancy do not have the means to travel to get care. We really need to rely on telemedicine abortion.
In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
Recruit New York takes place this upcoming weekend, where local fire departments around the state, they're trying to recruit people to volunteer as emergency responders. Volunteers, they're the backbone of our rural communities. Unfortunately, though, New York State is experiencing a shortage of them currently. Now, since the COVID-19 pandemic, at least 30 volunteer ambulance corps have closed here in New York. On top of that, nearly 80% of all fire protection services outside of New York City get a lot of help from volunteer departments. The number of volunteers has dropped significantly over the years. Right now, volunteers can get tax breaks, essential insurance coverage, and tuition reimbursement for college. New York Assemblyman Phil Palmisano is in favor of adding even more incentives to the list.
Not only are they protecting our families and our property, they are protecting the property taxpayers, because if the services they have been providing to our communities had to be paid services, it would cost the property taxpayers of our state another $4.7 billion annually.
Now, Palmisano says that the fact alone shows how valuable volunteer contributions are to the community. To learn more about how you can get involved with your local fire department, this weekend. Visit recruitny.org. Well, following last week's sunny skies and this week's cold, snowy conditions, some farmers, they're concerned about what this could mean for their crops and are concerned with the warm weather already here. It could be disastrous for their farm if a cold front were to come through, or even just for a few days. It threatens to damage or destroy an entire year's harvest.
When it gets warm like last week for such a long period, a day or two isn't bad, but a whole week to 10 days is trouble. And what happens is the buds start growing on everything, like this twig here. This is a grape twig. If it stays above 33, 34 degrees for the next 4 weeks, we're out of it clear. But it puts a lot more pressure on, I guess, our anxiety with it the way it is, because they shouldn't be out this far already.
Now, farmers say they typically don't have to worry about the weather heating up this early in the season, since the lake is usually keeping things cooler, but this year's mild winter, they'll be on edge for what seems to be months to come. Well, NFL star Damar Hamlin, he's been taking part in voluntary off-season workouts this week at the Buffalo Bills facility in Orchard Park. He was cleared to come back to football after suffering a cardiac arrest during a game back in January. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on why doctors feel that it's safe for Hamlin return to the sport that he loves.
Nearly 4 months after collapsing on the field, Damar Hamlin is back to playing ball.
I died on national TV in front of the whole world.
In January, after appearing to be hit with a helmet in his chest while making a tackle, the Buffalo Bills safety says he went into cardiac arrest caused by commotio cordis. That's when severe trauma disrupts the heart's electrical charge and causes dangerous fibrillations.
Some people might say that coming back to play might not be the best option. But that's their opinion. And like I said, I've been beating statistics my whole life, so I like my chances here.
It's not a surprise that he's being allowed to play again.
Health experts say since this happened, Hamlin has likely undergone numerous heart tests.
They basically said his heart function is back to normal and that he doesn't have an underlying problem, an anatomical problem with his heart, or an electrical problem, for example.
Because commotio cordis is rare and Hamlin's heart has no underlying issues, it's unlikely that he'll have problems again. That's why he was cleared to play.
If you've had a concussion, there's plenty of evidence now to suggest you are more likely to have a second concussion. We can't really say that with commotio cordis. His chance of having this is the same as the general population.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Health experts say the outcome of Hamlin's cardiac arrest was the best case scenario when it came to the type and speed of care he received. Well, coming up next, do you have a Facebook account? Hear why you might qualify for compensation as part of a $725 million settlement. And later Saturday, it's Earth Day. We tell you about the celebrations at SUNY JCC here in town, which are already underway. But first, when we come back, Andrew has a full look at our weekend forecast. Stay with us.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
Have you ever wanted to live out your dreams? Hunt, fish, in all corners of the earth? Well, now's your chance. Follow Primitive Patriot Outdoors as we live out our dreams and show you how to live out yours through outdoor adventures. From Western New York to Africa to all corners of the earth, follow us on this adventure. It's an experience you've never seen before. Lead and Lures, Roku TV, channel 716.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Currently in downtown Jamestown, we're under partly sunny skies out there. Current temperature 63 degrees at the Jamestown Airport with a south wind of 8 miles per hour. Let's take a look at some weather history that happened on this day. Back on April 20th in 2017, an EF0 tornado touched down about 2 miles northwest of Youngsville, Pennsylvania, near Warren, Pennsylvania. The National Weather Service confirmed that it was an EF0 tornado with max wind gusts of 80 miles per hour. The width of the tornado was about 20 yards, and the length of the tornado went just over a quarter of a mile. If you want to see some viewer video of the funnel cloud moving through Warren, Pennsylvania, you can check that out on the First Defense Weather page as that tornado or the funnel cloud moved through Warren. What's happening across the Northeast right now? We got high pressure drifting across New York State, and we got our next system off to our west. That's a cold front that's going to stall out across. It's going to stall out to the west of the region heading into tomorrow on Saturday, and it's going to bring some rain to the region on Saturday as a low pressure system will ride up that front and eventually push that cold front through the region heading in Saturday night. And that warm front across the region is going to have a wide contrast of temperatures across the region today. This afternoon, temperatures make it into the mid to upper 70s, close to 80 across the southern tier of northwestern Pennsylvania, and then in the 60s near the lake shore, and then you get up across the Niagara frontier. North of that front, temperatures will remain in the 50s. Future scan for the next 48 hours to the rest of the afternoon out there, partly to mostly sunny skies. You saw that little blip of a rain shower. That's not going to happen. We'll continue with the partly to mainly clear skies tonight and heading into tomorrow. Most of the day tomorrow will be dry with partly sunny skies, and then we get into the afternoon and that cold front will inch a little bit closer to the region. That might touch off a couple of rain showers tomorrow afternoon, but the widespread rain and more chances for thunderstorms will arrive on Saturday as that cold front moves through the region. And now the extended forecast powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. Temperatures today and tomorrow mid to upper 70s, close to 80, back down into the mid 60s on Saturday with rain showers. Cold front moves through Saturday afternoon into Saturday night, and you see where the temperatures go behind that. Temperatures back down into the 40s. Sunday and Monday will keep a chance of showers in the forecast each day, and yes, Sunday night, Monday night, there might be a chance for some wet snow across the region, but we do rebound by the middle of next week.
And so it returns, Andrew. Well, if you've used Facebook over the past 16 years, you might qualify for a payment from a class action lawsuit. Current or former Facebook users can now file for compensation as part of the $725 million settlement. The money comes from a lawsuit over Cambridge Analytica and other third parties using Facebook users' private information without their consent. Now, in 2018, the news broke that the data mining firm had taken personal info from up to 87 million Facebook users through a personality quiz app that sparked the lawsuit. Meta has denied any wrongdoing but agreed to the suit in order to bring an end to the case. It looks like information on when payouts might start are expected in September. Well, in 2009, Continental Flight 3407 crashed near Buffalo, New York, killing all 49 people on board and one person on the ground. Now, since that crash, Congress has made significant changes for airline training and safety. And on Wednesday, family members of the victims were in D.C. to keep fighting for those changes. Our Washington correspondent has more.
Even after all these years, families say the pain and loss is still very real for them. But they are here on Capitol Hill advocating to keep some of the rules in place that were implemented following that crash. Now this week there are hearings to discuss the FAA reauthorization bill. Congress has to take up this legislation every couple of years. Now part of that discussion was the 1,500-hour training requirement for pilots to fly commercial planes. That rule was implemented a year after the deadly Flight 3407 crash. Some airlines argue that this rule contributes to a pilot shortage problem. A father of one of the victims was upset that a member of Congress says this 1,500-hour rule was an emotional response to the crash.
I lost my daughter. Yeah, I was emotional. Lost her sister, lost her husband, lost his daughter, lost her husband, lost his son. Sister, I'm sorry. Of course we were emotional. We were very emotional. If anybody experienced 9/11, we were all emotional. After that happened, the entire country was emotional.
No business decision should ever come before the public safety, period, end of story. And when you book that plane ticket for work or to take your family on a vacation, you want to have 100% confidence in the airline and its pilots.
The last fatal U.S. plane crash was Flight 3407. New York's Congressman Nick Langworthy says that our skies have been much safer since implementing that rule because of the pilot training. Back to you.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Now, an NTSB safety report says that pilot errors is one of the chief causes which led to that deadly crash in 2009. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they've updated their recommendations on COVID-19 vaccines. This Wednesday rule will allow another dose of the bivalent booster for people 65 and up who have weakened immune systems. The announcement found that the group should get additional boosters ahead of their full vaccination campaign. Now, mole variant COVID-19 vaccines only protect against the original strain of the virus. It's no longer recommended in the U.S. The CDC now recommends its updated vaccines for everyone 6 and older, even if they did not finish the second dose series of the shot. Well, coming up next, Earth Day. It's this weekend. Our Alyssa Wright explains how one local college is getting in and celebrating, but also sharing the importance of environmental awareness.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
3-on-3 basketball returns to Jamestown, New York this summer. Collaborative Children's Solutions and partners are hosting a Gus Macker tournament August 19th and 20th in Brooklyn Square. The streets will be packed with a festival atmosphere, bringing the youngest of our Macker mites up to the adult players who compete for the top prize in their divisions. Register online at Macker.com before July 31st. The Jamestown Macker will also include some specialty competitions, making it one of the best community events of the year.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Our Earth is important as it's the only one we have to call home, so preserving it, taking care of it, it's vital to our survival. SUNY JCC is on a mission to share the significance of this and why we should be bettering our planet as part of an annual student-driven initiative called EarthFest. Alyssa Wright with more.
On Wednesday, SUNY JCC celebrated EarthFest.
Earth Awareness Club came into existence right around that time, 1989, 1990, and we started with a very small event with maybe 4 or 5 vendors, Candleman and t-shirt, tie-dyes and things like that. And over the years, it's grown to a really big festival event that we have every year.
Professor Jan Bowman explains that not only do humans have an impact on the environment impacts us just as much.
Oh, did you get a snowstorm in the middle of July or you got a heat wave in the middle of December? We have a lot of climate change going on. And a big part of that is loss of conservation of very important lands and trees, forests that are the lungs of the planet, for example. So conservation, keeping in mind that we are part of the environment, we aren't really an exception to the environment, and learning a little bit more about how our role influences other organisms and back at us.
When talking about nature, it's a no-brainer that animals must be included in the conversation.
We have live animals, so Mike Morton's little baby goats and rabbits and all the little critters that he brings in will be a big hit with the students, I'm sure. We have a noon show with Jeff Musial with Nickel City Exotics and Reptiles. And let's see, he brings in all kinds of exotics and talks about the importance of not having exotics in your home.
According to the professor, students cannot wait to host the event and educate more people on the importance of environmental consciousness.
It's a really good time, and this is a student club actually that hosts this, and I happen to be one of the co-advisors. Student driven, and every year we have students that are eager to move into the EarthFest planning.
To learn more about the SUNY JCC Earth Awareness Club and events that they hold, visit the SUNY JCC website. In Jamestown, Alyssa Wright, WNY News Now.
That's it for us today. Have a great day.